Next on the Broadway show, she's the winningest star in Tony Awards history. Audra McDonald is back on the Broadway stage and on the show to talk about the play Ohio State Murders. Plus, The Greatest Star. We're talking Funny Girl in the new cast album with Lea Michele. And pardon me, are you Aaron Burr, sir? He sure is. Nick Walker is here to talk all things Hamilton. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is the Broadway show. We're back with another jam-packed episode of the Broadway show. Glad you're here because it is a good one. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Let's get started. Six-time Tony Award winner Audra McDonald is back on Broadway in the long-awaited production of Ohio State Murders. It's the first production at the newly renamed James Earl Jones Theater. We had a chance to chat. Ohio State Murders. Let's dive right in and talk about it. If somebody doesn't know what Ohio State Murders is, how would you describe it?
It is a suspenseful murder mystery memory play. It's a woman who is going back to her alma mater to give a speech because she's a writer. They've asked her to come back and talk about, her work and why she uses some of the imagery she does in her work. And what ends up happening is she ends up telling this tale about what happened to her when she was at Ohio State when she was 18, and it's a murder mystery. She gives you clues throughout the entire play that by the time when you get to the end of the play, you go, oh, I should have, of course, when she was speaking of that, oh, that's why she mentioned that, or that's why she was talking about the fact that she was not allowed to do this because of her color, led to this, led to this, led to this, which led to what ended up happening. And it's based somewhat on Adrienne Kennedy's experience at Ohio State, being one of 12 girls in her dorm, one of 12 black girls in her dorm in Ohio State in the late 40s.
For this to be her debut on Broadway,
91.
for this to have started 91 years old.
Yeah.
What is that like?
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. I'm honored to be a part of it. I'm sad that she's 91 and this is finally happening. She's been writing incredible, singular, poetic, deep, profound plays since the 60s. And it's just now that someone's been willing to actually commercially produce it on Broadway. And I think it's about damn time, but I wish it could have happened earlier for her. But perhaps now we're in an environment where more people will really be able to understand the play and receive it and give it the flowers that it truly deserves.
For you to be the voice of her all these years later.
Yes.
So she started writing this, 3 decades ago, right?
Yeah, she wrote this. This had its debut at the Great Lakes Theater in Cleveland, Ohio in 1992, but hasn't ever been to Broadway. So, yeah, now it's happening, and now we have a responsibility to make sure as many people as possible can see it and understand it. And my hope is when people leave the show, they'll take in the experience of the show and look out in society and understand what she was trying to say and the story she was trying to convey, make people think about systemic racism, and also then go and learn more about Adrienne Kennedy and her works and the works she's been doing for decades and decades and decades.
Play it now, play it now, play it now, my baby.
You're on Broadway, your husband's on Broadway. What's it like living with a rock star?
I live with Neil Diamond now, didn't you know? We've been together for so long. Actually, we just celebrated 10 years of being married.
Congrats.
And thank you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful in that we both understand what the other is going through, in terms, since we both do the same thing for a living. It's hardest right now, honestly, on our 6-year-old. We've done shows on Broadway at the same time together.
Okay.
Will and I have years ago in 2014, but we didn't have Sally then. Our kids were older.
Right.
But now we have our little one, and she keeps saying, I just wish people didn't have to work for a living. She's saying things like that because she's like, who's putting me to bed tonight? So that's kind of tugging on our heartstrings quite a bit. It's going to be harder on Will because it's a much longer show. He's got a lot more sequins.
A little bit.
And
little bit.
platform boots and whatnot. So he's got a lot more to do and a lot more
He
singing.
does have the shoe game on you. For this one.
Oh, very much so. Lots more singing, you know. And it's not like it's either of our shows or shows we can take Sally to see. So,
Right. No.
Come see Mom in Ohio
think-
State Murders. No.
A few more years. A few more years.
Yeah, but I'm so proud of him. I'm very excited for Will. It's been incredible.
You know, you put a post out there that I think is really important to address because it speaks to women that need to hear about it. And you talked about menopause, and that's something important to me. And we couldn't stop talking before this started.
No,
why did you decide to do that?
You know, because I was, you know, when you're going through perimenopause and menopause, you have days where you feel alone, you feel shamed kind of by society, by what your body's going through, the weight gain, the hot flashes, the insomnia, the memory loss, the heart palpitations. There's so many different things that encapsulate what going through menopause is, and just the societal stigma on, well, you're old now, and you're no longer seen or no longer wanted or any of that. And I was really just going down a rabbit hole thinking about it. And I thought, you know what, I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. And I try and be very open and honest on my social media. And I don't ever try and be some goddess that I'm not, because I'm not. And so I thought I might as well.
Well, you are, but
but I'm not. Ask anybody in my family. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to be open about this and honest about this. And so I thought I'm just going to put it out there. And I'd taken that selfie, and I just remember thinking, at the time I took it, I was like, I feel so just awful, like my skin, what's happening. And I took the selfie, and I was like, wow, I got to talk about this.
Yeah.
And so I just put it out there.
So grateful, and so much reaction to it, and that's where you know you've hit a nerve.
So many people reached out, and I'm glad, and I'm hoping, and you and I talked about this, hoping that in talking about this and destigmatizing this, younger women coming up will have more of an understanding of what's ahead, how to embrace it, how to feel okay about it, and how to get help, and how to not feel shamed, stigmatized, and othered as a result.
Thank you for that. We need those voices.
Yeah.
We need those voices. We're celebrating another amazing autumn on Broadway, and that includes another star-studded opening night. Shakespeare just got a pop music rewrite, and Juliet puts a new twist on the story of the Romeo and Juliet heroine. It features a whole lot of pop anthems you know and love, like Baby One More Time, Since You've Been Gone, Roar, and so many more.
Great musicals you can see again and again and again. So I'm really excited about this tonight.
And there is a theme empowering women, so I'm all for it. And obviously just to be here, I wrapped POTUS, went and did a movie, and I got back today, and I was like, I need to come and support the Broadway community again and be back into it.
It is one of the most special, joyous productions I've ever been a part of.
I feel like a weight lifted off my shoulders because we're open.
I'm the greatest star. I am by far, but no one knows it.
This is Fanny Brice's big opening number, I'm the Greatest Star, from the Broadway revival of Funny Girl. The cast recording released last week, and of course Leah Michele is Fanny Brice, a role she was born to play. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
A little over a year ago,
Yep.
I saw you in the dead of summer. Broadway was not back yet.
Right.
You talked about your desire to come back to Broadway. Here we are. I can't believe only a year's passed and you are now having this huge Broadway moment, starring in Funny Girl. What a journey.
know.
Did you see this happening at that point?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I mean, it's wild. A year ago, I had just moved back to the city with my family. I was still really in the thick of being a new mom and embracing that and embracing living back in New York again. And now here we are a year later. I mean, we were outside of the Eugene O'Neill Theater, and I knew about the Spring Awakening reunion, but I don't think I could say anything to you at the time. And then just a few months later, when we did our concert and I stood on the, the chair at the top of the show, that's when I just felt this deep, deep, deep desire that was there, but it came to life at that moment, and I said, I just would love to be back on the stage again.
I mean, we've known about your love of this role forever, and Rachel Berry's love of this role. Obviously, you did this on Glee.
Don't tell me not to fly. I've simply got to. If someone takes a spill, it's me and not you. Who told you you're allowed to rain on my parade?
Agreed.
So it's very meta.
Yeah.
For all of us. Is it also for you? There was just talk about you doing Funny Girl on Broadway for years.
Yeah, Funny Girl has been a part of my life in so many phases of my life.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Mayer told me to watch the movie in 2006 when I was going through a breakup. I was in Spring Awakening, and that's when I first fell.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I
Interesting.
watched Funny Girl for the first time. And then obviously, you know, with the storyline that Rachel had, it was a huge part of my life when I was living in LA and when I was on the television show. And now here again at 36. So this role has been a part of my life throughout so many different seasons, but I've never felt more prepared, more ready to play this part than I do now.
You know, I met you when you were still a teenager.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, were you like Act One Fanny? Were you sort of like, hey, look at me? Did you have that energy and that fire? And
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I got into a car crash on the way to my Glee audition, and I still
Oh, that's
stormed into
right.
the audition, pulled the glass out of my hair, and I was like, I'm getting this job today. Fanny would do the exact same thing. And that's something that I really wanted when I saw the production. I spoke to Michael about what things that I wanted to change. Like Greatest Star was really important to me to, you know, change the movement and have Fanny climb on the piano and jump around, because in order for me to express my extreme desire and determination, I have to do that totally physically. So I very much have, you know, can relate to that. I'm a little older now, as Fanny says. So I actually had to, you know, remember that feeling of being, you know, just young and desperate and looking at everyone, like how she says to Nick, like, so you someone I should know? You know, are you gonna help me? Are you gonna get me to the next place in my career?
I know you had talent from the beginning as a child actress. I mean, you've always sort of had this talent, but did you ever have to have those moments that Fanny has of sort of like, no, hey, look at me, like, pay attention to me? Like, did you have to sort of ever like, hey, Mr. Ziegfeld, Mr. Producer?
Here I am.
Yeah.
I think for me, you know, it was hard. I was doing theater and I wanted to branch out into television, but there was really no one that ever, you know, I couldn't find where I fit in there.
Yeah.
You know, luckily it was Ryan who created Rachel Berry, and he molded the character, you know, for me. That's why I fell in love with Barbra Streisand, because I saw someone that looked like me, who acted like me, and who was, you know, funny and awkward, but still beautiful. I think if it wasn't for Glee and Ryan giving me that chance, you know, I don't know if I would have ever been able to break out into that, you know, part of this business.
This role, it was your dream role. It was Beanie Feldstein's dream role. It was Rachel Berry's dream role.
It's the greatest role. It has everything. It has the drive. It has the arc. It has the power and the tenacity and the songs, and anyone, Beanie, Julie, Barbara, who has climbed the mountain of Mount Everest that is Fanny Brice, is one of the most fearless women on this earth, because it is such a hard role. But as a performer, I mean, I've been blessed in my life to have played some really incredible strong female characters, Ben Love, Rachel Berry, and to add Fanny to the list is, it's a great, great honor.
The Broadway show is back in just a sec. Pardon me, are you Aaron Burr, sir? He sure is. Nick Walker is a Broadway star continually on the rise, and now he's back in the spotlight in Hamilton. Let's send it out to Charlie Cooper.
That's right, Tamsin. This marks a return to the role of Aaron Burr for Hamilton leading man Nick Walker, and we got to chat at the Time Hotel. You have a long-standing history with Hamilton. Started out on Broadway in Hamilton, then took Aaron Burr on the road, then Ain't Too Proud, and now you're back.
Yeah,
What's that feeling like for you?
I will say I'm incredibly grateful. I think that's the most important thing, because it didn't have to happen this way. And as we've seen, right, Broadway is it's trucking, it's here, but it's hard in these streets. Like, it's real. Yeah. And you know, this team, obviously they built a show that changed the face of theater forever, and reverberates and reverberates and reverberates. But on top of that, they're also just good, kind, loyal people. And I don't say that just because they pay me. I say that because they truly are. And So for them to call me and be like, hey, come on back, is just an honor. It is very surreal. I do not feel like, I mean, I am a 10-year-old in a 34-year-old man's body, so I do not feel like I should be starring in anything or leading anything. But I am honored to try and give it my best.
So you are part of this massive show.
That's what they tell me.
Obviously, you took a little bit of a break from it. What do you miss most about it, and like kind of can't wait to get back to?
You know, I would say the thing that I miss most about Hamilton, or missed most about Hamilton, you have a show that is literally built to challenge your brain. It is the West Wing of musical theater. It is so many words and so much nuance, and you can never dig too deep into these characters. Even now, you know, I've been off and on doing this show since 2016. Even coming back on my first night, discoveries are being made. It does not get stale. It will never not be hard. But I would say that, you know, I think the wonderful thing about Burr for me is that, like, and this is part of what I missed, he is such a good catharsis for all my dark little demons that we all have in this industry. Like, you know, because this industry, it breaks you down. It really puts you through things. And I think that Lin so beautifully gave voice to so much of what we experienced through Burr, just in terms of that envy and that jealousy and things that we know we don't need to hold on to, but sometimes just bubble and bubble, and that is Burr.
So of course you took a little bit of time away from the show. What are some things that you feel like you're bringing that's like new and fresh to the show and to that role?
I think that the best way to answer that question would be to answer it in pop culture references. There's so many parallels between a Tony Stark and a Burr. Tony Stark as a character, right, is all about suppression, right? He knows who he is, and he knows who the world thinks he is, and those two things are oftentimes diametrically opposed. And I think the same with Burr. Burr is a character for whom he is very focused on what the world wants him to be and what he has been asked to be. But maybe 10% of him inside knows that it doesn't all have to be about the chase. It doesn't all have to be about the climb. So I think that that's kind of what I've been bringing to it, is just kind of that kind of what happens when you suppress those emotions for a long time. Like, I love exploring the idea that he is the Princeton prodigy. What does it mean to be the status quo of something? What does it mean to be someone who is truly like a, you know, holding the thing down? Right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of put it in a blender and like pray to God it works, and you know, if they tell me it works, then I'll keep doing it. So.
You know what? I love that you just said my Burr, and I think that that's such a great point, because like, obviously with the show being released on Disney Plus and people being able to see it really all over the place, one might think, why should I go and see it on Broadway when I already watched it on Disney Plus? But like, literally, your Burr is your Burr, and I imagine it's completely different depending on.
No, completely. Everyone that you see in this show, every company that you see in the show, I think it's what makes Hamilton so special, is that they really don't try to confine anyone to anything that's been done before, to their credit. And so you see any company of Hamilton, you are going to see a completely different show.
The best of Broadway is on full display each and every week here on The Broadway Show. Glad you're here. I'm Tamsin Fidel. The Arthur Miller Foundation just held its annual gala in New York City. The Arthur Miller Foundation Honor celebrates the power of public school arts education and honors those who have made serious contributions to arts and culture.
Things are always so crazy, but especially right now when theater education is not necessarily something that is a given for everyone, right? So to be able to come together to support an event and an organization that is helping this just go wherever it needs to go is such a wonderful, amazing thing.
I love what I do, but I didn't expect this kind of honor, and it means a lot given what we do every day. We work very hard. My students are my inspiration.
I'm very moved and humbled by them and their generosity, and they're continuing to reach out to me and support me in my work, so it's very humbling.
Providing teachers with what they need to succeed in the classrooms. They're the ones on the ground. They're the ones working with the students every day. They're the ones putting together the projects and the costumes and the light. They're the ones doing all of it, so they know exactly what they need. And I think our entire society could do a lot better if we just ask people, what do you really need? And that's what AMF does with theater teachers.
And since Giving Tuesday is just a few days away, the Arthur Miller Foundation could use your support. Their website, arthurmillerfoundation.org. We'd also like to highlight another couple of great organizations in honor of Giving Tuesday. The Entertainment Community Fund provides a safety net for performing arts and entertainment professionals. And believe me, they've helped a lot of people during COVID when theaters were closed and film productions were halted. And of course, there's Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. They provide food, medicine, and other health care all across the country to help people affected with HIV, AIDS, COVID, and other life-threatening illnesses.
This is The Broadway Show, and we're back in just a few. That's going to do it for us, but until next time, check out The Broadway Show Uncut wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Tamsin Fidel, and this is The Broadway Show.